Hi, everyone. Bison Video Blog from Sioux Falls. North Dakota State's women's basketball team will play for the NCAA automatic bid for the first time after a 75-66 win over Oral Roberts in the Summit League semifinals. With Jeff Kolpak and Mike McFeely from the Forum, Dom Izzo from WDAY Sports. I've been here for 18 years. You've been covering this for a long, long time.
You've been here this long?
I have been here that long. I think you can correct me both if I'm wrong on this. I think when the impetus to go to Division I think women's basketball was at the top of the list to maybe have some early success. Obviously, that did not happen. A long time coming, paid off here today.
Yeah, no question. Here we are 19 years later. 19. Yeah. And they're finally reached the Summit title game for the first time, which when the Bison went in that transition, right, that I thought that was an impossibility. We always thought that women's basketball would be the number one sport that to have the most success the soonest, and it turns out they've been the last in line.
Ironic, it's really ironic on that, and it was a grind today, Michael. I mean, Oral Roberts, you knew what they were going to do with their pressure. They forced 20 Bison turnovers, but you need your best players to play best in March. Heaven Hamling has done that the first two games.
Yeah, and let me say, before I get into that it almost felt at the end of the game like they won a championship. They went to the middle of the floor and celebrated.
Yep.
And I mean, that's good, and it's a great accomplishment, but that's how long they've been in the woods, in the wilderness with this program.
Apathetic
It felt
for
like
fans.
They won a title today in the semifinals. But to get to your question, Heaven Hamling was wonderful, 18 points, 11 rebounds. Had to kind of make up for the other star. Elle Evans was on the bench for a lot of the game with foul trouble, and she didn't shoot the ball well when she did get in the game. But Heaven Hamling has just played so big in the two games down here in Sioux Falls, and I just like the way she plays.
Yes.
She just she's always, in the middle of the action. She's wanting to get the ball and handle the ball. She wanted to take the big shots. The Bison started like 1 for 14 from three-point range when they desperately needed some points after Oral Roberts clawed back in the game. Heaven Hamling let fly with a three from the right wing and made it, and it just felt huge. And she made another deep one in the fourth quarter that just felt huge, and she was the one making the big plays.
Just
today.
let the air out for them when she made those couple threes. She also had 11 rebounds, Kolpak. 8 in the first round, 11 today. She's clearly not the tallest player, but she's in there to go in there and do that.
5'7". I just think that's that Iron Range mentality. She's from Grand Rapids, and they're just a cut above in toughness, I think, and she, I think, epitomizes that. I go to Avery Coonan with 10 points and 10 rebounds off the bench. Played almost 28 minutes today. I don't know if that was ever in the cards. I think it was a season high in minutes. And she's just not playing like a true freshman anymore. And they're going to need that tomorrow. They're going to need her big time. You got Brooklyn Meyer, who's 6'1", player of the year, defensive player of the year, which is a really unique double-double. So if the Bison somehow get a 10-10 type performance from her, they have a chance at least to hang in there.
Coonan was a three-sport star out of Montevideo. She was the triple jump state champion to go along with being an unreal volleyball player. She had Division I offers to go play collegiate volleyball. I want to go back to the Evans point because the Bison are up 12, and Evans has 0 points late in the third quarter of this basketball game.
You and I looked at each other after the first quarter and said, well, Elle Evans has been on the bench. Or at halftime it was, right?
Yeah.
She's been on the bench for most of the first half.
Played 9 minutes.
Yeah. And yet they're ahead by 10 points.
By double digits.
And so that was huge, that they were able to overcome that with her on the bench. She's a good player.
Yes.
Elle Evans is so good, and to not have her on the floor, it was obvious that the second team was in way too much for NDSU, but they're good enough to win the game and keep a lead.
Abby Draper has really had a nice season, and we've seen that totally here in the two games in Sioux Falls.
I think she's really taken her game a level underneath, but I think also mentally. And she said her off-season conditioning. At Bradley, she goes, they never lifted. Can you believe that? In Missouri Valley, they never really had a lifting program at Bradley.
Stunning.
She never had been in a lifting program until she got here. And she said that's made a big difference, from last year. And I just think, she's acting more like a junior and a veteran now.
So now, Mike, they have the chance to play for the automatic bid. We'll get to the South Dakota State aura here in a second, but the fact that they're in this game is a huge deal. National TV tomorrow and a chance to go to the NCAA tournament.
And like we talked about earlier today on Hot Mike, is that people will sit up now in Fargo.
That's Mike. And
pay attention because they're in the title game. And again, 19 years. Who would have ever thought it? But they're in the title game. They have a chance to go to the women's NCAA tournament. Women's basketball has never been bigger in this country. and people are going to be excited back in Fargo. And as we said this morning, one of the reasons why, and this is a segue, it's because they're playing South Dakota
Correct.
State, right?
Yep.
And that's the arch rival.
Yeah.
That's the one. There were two people. Well, actually, there were several people sitting next to me on the floor wearing blue. They're Jackrabbits fans. They weren't loud about it, but they were cheering against North Dakota State. They were rooting every time Oral Roberts did something good. They were clapping and taking another drink of beer.
18 years you and I have been talking about how this has been completely one-sided. The Bison only have 2 wins over South Dakota State since 2005. They've lost 21 games. I know you're going to tell me all it takes is 1, but that is a lot of history that the Bison are going up against tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a lot. I may have to change my pick.
I know you've been on this for a month, though. I will say
I called it a
that.
month ago.
Colpack called in the middle of February the Bison were going to win this, but that's what the
previous games. Average margin victory was what 39.
It was not close. It was a wide margin. But the games this year have not been.
You got to break through at some point. It's hard to win every year. Bison football has proven that. It's hard to win every single time. And at some point in a title game, I just think things will. There's upsets happen. I mean, they happen. It's March Madness.
Yeah. And let's be clear here. One of the reasons why South Dakota State is maybe more vulnerable is because they're missing like 4 key players,
all
and
conference
three
players.
starters, and all conference players
Yeah.
because of injuries.
Correct.
And that's part of sports.
Yep.
And I'm not downplaying if North Dakota State wins tomorrow. That's not why. They've earned it.
Yes.
But the point is, this is not like this unbeatable steamroller in Brookings this year.
Correct.
Might be next year again, but this year it's not. And NDSU will have a chance tomorrow to win this game if they play well and if they can make some shots.
And it's going to be a cauldron in here. I mean, at 3:30 tomorrow, there's going to be 8,000 fans here cheering for South. I mean, there might be 50 Bison fans. This is going to be as true a road environment as there is.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's not a neutral site.
Yeah.
It's a home game for South Dakota State. The fans are not bored with South Dakota State basketball success.
Not one iota.
Like the men's game is going on right now out on the floor, and it is filled with blue, and they are loud. I can hear them back here in the bowels of the stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of an environment tomorrow. We'll be back here. The game's at 3:30 on CBS Sports Network for the chance to go to the NCAA tournament. Much more coverage at Inforum and WDAY over the next 24 hours.
I need to make one more point here. Colpack's got the Bison winning.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Jory Collins and his team a favor. And pick against them.
Okay. You're picking the Jacks.
I'll pick the Jacks. I won't pick, because if I pick them, they'll lose. I'll pick against them, and maybe they'll win.
We'll Bolton board material.
Yeah, there it is, right?
You really think you're a big deal, don't you?
Hey, Johnny Tower reds his stuff, so we already know that. He's a big deal in the Twin Cities.
By the end of the Bison football season, they're walking past me going, pick against us again.
I heard that as well. We got that as well. For Mike McFeely, Jeff Colfack, I'm Dom Izzo. It's the Bison Video Blog here in Sioux Falls.